I started.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the start of BRL Season 4. I'm Zataxter as always, and Rud's right alongside me. What's up, Rudz? How you been?
Pleasure to be here, Sarthak. Really excited for a new chapter of our very own Bwoah Racing League.
Yep, indeed it is. And for those of you who are new to the Bwoah Racing League, we've got 20 drivers who go out on the grid to race, go up against each other in the Formula 1 game 2020 this time around. It looks like we are all set and ready to go full racing grid this time around. And first off is 18 minutes of short qualifying at Australia.
It's exciting to see how this new season will turn out to be, because right now it's a blank slate.
Yeah, and we've got so many debutants. We've got a bunch of drivers with new teammates. We've got two similar teams from last season, that is UK and Setu RC18, as well as Big Man Joe and Rocket Man. So it'll be interesting to see how they end up this season as well. Rocket Man completely absent for the latter half of the season last time around, and he's here, and he said he's gonna make sure he's there for more races this time around, making sure it's not a solo effort on the constructors side.
Fair enough. And to be honest, I don't even know who to, count my bets on, because a lot of them consider just 3 to 4 drivers the absolute heavyweights. And then you have the likes of the teams, in fact, that, are completely different from how the drivers function. So, yeah, really excited to see how this turns out.
Yep, I am too. I mean, I can't wait to see some of these matchups. Like, we've got some insane driver pairings here, and we got TK Speedy. Let's talk about him. TK Speedy, we won't see him for most of the season, but this race, he made sure he's out on track. Sick Nick put him out on track alongside KDB. Yes, he's here to talk about that matchup, like TK Speedy and KDB. That might be the best result or best pairing for this race, who can bring out the best result today.
I don't know, because main thing is that this is equal performance. So I feel that whoever has a better qualifying will also have the upper hand for the race. What do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been pretty vocal on that. Everybody in the league's been going on about how General Pepe, a debutant as well, for those of you watching, will take it away in terms of Drivers' Championship. But clearly, anything can happen in the 18 minutes of short qualifying, which I'm surprised hasn't gotten underway yet. But we will start off soon enough. Meanwhile, folks who are joining in, I think I see about 13 people watching right about now. There's a link in the description you might want to go into later on, which is the poll for driver of the day. Yes, driver of the day. Y'all will have complete control over that. So make sure you vote for your driver of the day. Don't get hasty, so to speak, because we haven't even started yet. But make sure you remember that. And make sure you mention in the chat who you're here for. Who do you think will be on top, at least on qualifying?
Are commentators allowed to vote as well, Sarthak?
Yes, we are. We are. All the members of the league are allowed to vote. So, yep. Shock qualifying at Albert Park. Now, this circuit, it is. And I think you mentioned a couple of days ago how a lot of people don't realize it's a street circuit as well.
Yeah, I honestly cannot believe how many times I've had to correct people that you're literally racing on the perimeter of a lake. In what universe is a lake in the middle of a track? Okay, to be fair, that would make a beautiful racetrack. But again, have you even seen how the Albert Park area looks when it's not an F1 weekend? It's a beautiful place to be at. And there are some very beautiful time-lapse videos on YouTube which show how good the whole, event is.
Yeah, it is the season opener of real Formula 1 as well, and that's why we decided to keep it regardless. And let's just talk about last season. Last season, we had an unfortunate crash during qualifying for Rusty Nish, who was in the Ferrari. Horrible crash indeed, but he managed to win that race. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top today. Any prediction? Do you want to go ahead and do it, or you want to just wait for the session to start?
Yeah, maybe I can display my cards, I suppose, since it's the first race. I can just call it a dummy move. But I do think that we might see Carey win his first ever race in BRL. And I do feel that Racing Point or maybe even McLaren will get the most points for today. That is my prediction.
All right. And those of you all just joining in, if you're a bit perplexed on what's going on, it's shock qualifying at Australia, the BRL Australian GP, the first race of season 4. And we are all set and ready to go. 20 drivers out on track. Some brilliant pairings, some uncertain ones, I'd like to say. I mean, let's talk about Baby Shumi and General Pepe. Baby Shumi's pace is clearly lacking in terms with respect to General Pepe, but a decent points haul could result in the Constructors' Championship going into the end of the season. What do you think, Ruds?
I do feel that given the competition Baby Shumi has in his debut, and not just his debut with BRL, but in fact he's a rookie when it comes to sim racing as well. So I do believe that the pressure might be too much for him to handle, but in other sense, it might even be positive for him. Because I think the best way to explain this would be how Max and Albon situation turned out to be. So it is difficult to live up to the expectations, but Nishil, that's Prophecy, the TP for Haas, he has done a really good job in gauging his drivers, so to say. And they had a lot of issues when it came to the number 2 driver. But now they have a good lineup. And I do feel that Baby Shumi will improve every race. That is what I feel.
Okay. All right. That's great that you're pretty optimistic about the team.
That's the way to be, especially for BRL.
Exactly. And Prophecy was as well. It looks like we're all set and ready to go. Seems like we had a bit of a moment of issues. But yeah, it's started. Shock qualifying has started, and we got Freeze out on his out lap. We got Ferrero out on his out lap. TK Speedy, SW11, and a whole bunch of drivers who come out on their out laps.
I do imagine, if looking at the weather, it is slightly drizzling, isn't it? And I am wondering if it might turn to full rain soon enough.
Possibly. I'm pretty sure SV11, if he was in the commentator's box, he would have enjoyed it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess the only person smiling right now would be Accelerate.
I'm sure he does do the rain dance, and perhaps we can call him the rain master of the league itself. But then again, that was in Monaco, Australia, a different track. Wonder how he'll do. Sector 3 goes yellow, and I wonder which car that is. Seems like a Haas, but just going slowly, if I'm not wrong.
They might be giving way for the slower traffic.
Of course, we see Freeze heating up his tires. Ferrello in the Alpha Tauri, and Mr. Wex. Now let's talk about the Renault team. Mr. Wex and Avi, they've gotten the whole grid a bit nervous. They've also made sure that they embrace it as well. Mr. Wex been pretty vocal that, it's good that you're a bit afraid of us. Everybody's a bit afraid of us.
I do sometimes wonder which team has got the best balance, because my mind keeps fluctuating between McLaren and Renault. And I do feel that Renault has the upper edge in terms of pace, but McLaren has the upper end in terms of, let's say, teamwork and the driver compatibility.
All right. On board Mr. Wex as he takes his first hot lap of the season. SV11 making sure he gives way to him. Went a bit off track there, but let's stay on board Mr. Wex.
What chances do you think Mr. Wex will live up to? Like, how much do you fancy his odds for today?
So this is the thing, right? If you're talking about today, he can perform well. He is that lad who qualifies in the top 5 usually, more often than not, in fact. And I'm a bit put off guard because we see a bunch of drivers setting in times. We got General Pepe, 1 minute 21.297, who just beat KDB a couple of seconds ago. Half a second off of General Pepe, KDB.
And this is with a light drizzle, so if the rain starts to pour, we will not see times faster than this. So I think the last 10 minutes would even be redundant.
And Sector 3 goes yellow. Accelerate has retired from the session on Sector 2. So let's jump straight to the racing point, and perhaps we can grab a look at him. On the right hand side here, could we catch him? No, we couldn't.
Maybe the Haas will catch him. This seems to be parked up there, to be honest.
Unfortunate for Accelerate.
No, I don't know if that was a damage.
Perhaps we'll find out soon enough.
Maybe a failure.
Which means he will be starting at the back of the grid on the very first race. We were just talking about how he'll be smiling about the rain. Pretty sure he's not smiling anymore. But Pepe going into the pits as KDB on another fast lap. We got Horning as well. Horning and Freeze, that's another driver pairing. So this is the thing, right? We can't really put a finger on who will be right up there in the title fight for the constructors at least. Because like many people in the league already think, it's going to be a 5-way battle possibly.
I think you might remember this when we were discussing earlier that I have my 7 drivers picked out already.
Yep.
Who will be dominating each and every race, but I cannot for the life of me figure out who the top 3 podium finishers will be for each of the rounds. So that's how close it is.
I mean, I at least you came up with a list, Ruds. I couldn't even do that. And Chris Bai, I spoke to him in the preseason chat, and he was mentioning how if he sees a gap, he takes it, and he kind of placed himself amongst folks like Sicknig and SV11, perhaps. I mean, maybe I'm a bit too bold to be saying that, but we'll find out eventually. But that's what he said. He's currently 8th fastest, quickest out compared to SV11, and clearly Sicknick's not here today. He's maybe watching as his two drivers are out on track. Let's see how he does regardless. Crisp by.
And another important thing to note is that both the Williams have set their lap times on mediums. And it says Chris By left the session. I wonder what happened.
Bit of disconnection, nothing new, and Freeze dodges the real quick red Alfa Romeo, I'm guessing. Yep, it is Rocket Man, and he has invalidated his lap, unfortunately.
He's doing Valtteri Bottas over there, mowing the lawn.
As his teammate Horning comes out of the pits.
Like, how excited are you to watch Horning compete in BRL this season?
Ooh,
Our very own Roadrunner Racing lad, along with Big Man Joe.
Exactly, and I mean, looking back at Race 0R, also how he was able to win a race there, a capable lad. He's raced with majority of the grid, and Rusty Nish, for the second time in a qualifying session in Australia, he got disqualified in qualifying last season. He gets disqualified this season as well. He retired. Apologies, he retires this season as well. I wonder what happened.
You can see him from Vex's on board because he's approaching.
Yep, and Vex just crossed him.
Is that a tire on his Halo?
Possibly.
I think he went head first into the barrier.
Oh no. I have a feeling it's the same part of the track like last time around. I could be wrong, but that was the same scenario last season, Roods. I know you weren't there, but yep. Wheel on top of the Halo.
Both spinning.
Yep.
Parked right there on the edge. I think the rain has started gathering its first victims on the dry tires.
Unfortunately, it's both the AlphaTauri drivers. But Ferrell stays out on track, fourth fastest so far. Hopefully he can pull through a good qualifying result. But at the back of the pack, Accelerate and Rusty Nish are set to start at the back of the pack for qualifying. And AlphaTauri and Red Bull, who would have thought?
Interestingly, UK is P20, which is also surprising because the rain is not showing any signs of slowing down. He better get a lap in.
Yep, maybe he's waiting for the rain to possibly come down a little harder. He's still in the pits. On board a Rocket Man as he's on a fast lap. Currently, just over 7 seconds off the pace of General Pepe. Okay, 25. Rocket Man going through it, Horning on the grass there. Let's stay with Rocket Man, Horning right behind him. And yep, those of you wondering how long the race might be, 50% race distance, so 29 laps of racing.
The rain will also not be helping the FPS for all of our drivers, including us as commentators.
Yeah.
Gonna take some serious toll on our hardware. I hope the stream lives up to it as well.
Let's hope so. We've had all sorts of ridiculousness with this game, yet we love it. So we love the game, we love this motorsport in real life as well, and that's why we dedicate our time for just over 7 minutes left in the short qualifying. General Pepe is still the fastest out there, and he's sitting in the pits along with the second fastest KDB. Rocketman seems to have left this session, and I'm sure he'll be coming back soon enough. Most of the drivers in the pits, while the defending BRL champions out on track.
I guess the comments are saying a little bit more about our stream getting stuck.
Alright. Well, we wait to sort out that technical issue. 6.5 minutes left into qualifying. General Pepe on provisional pole and sitting in the pits, while Freeze is out on track.
So as I was saying that our hardware is taking a toll, I guess it translates to stream as well.
And in the chat, I'm reading a couple of things right now. Rusty Nish, quick to say, remember no heroics into turn 1. And right now he'll be starting at the back of the pack on race start. So clearly, I think he'd fancy heroics into turn 1 perhaps.
Maybe. But whatever it might be, at least for Accelerate and Rusty Niche, this might be like one heck of a last to first challenge. Maybe even YouTube worthy. Who knows?
Perhaps. Free is the only driver out on track, as Wix356 is out on track as well. He's on his out lap and on the grass. Okay. Wix356 and Gouts. What a driver pairing that is. And we've known Wix356 to be this aggressive driver, very capable of good results. Missed out on a win last season at China, and he loses rear and goes onto the grass, loses part of his front wing, the end plates in specific, and will go back out on track, possibly go back into the pits as well. Only driver out on track, while the rest 17 are in the pits.
Hope the spectators are able to see a much better stream now.
Sure, they will.
Can't have them missing the action because the rain is finally pouring. And looks like no driver is stepping out of the pits either. Only Wix is currently on track. Baby Shumi on an outlap, so okay, maybe we'll be proven wrong. But why are they still on the softs is my question.
Rusty Nish, meanwhile, in chat says, crashing out in Oz Collie, where have I seen that before? Yeah, tough for him. As you stay on board, Wix356 folks watching, if you are finding it a bit laggy, stay with us as we try and fix that side
There
of things.
apparently is a hack that if you are on the TV pod camera, the stream seems to be running normally, so maybe try that.
And I'm pretty sure the TV pod camera is the one lagging quite a bit. Oh, I'm sorry, out. Meanwhile, yeah, just under 3 minutes left to qualifying.
Baby Shumi is out on inters, so finally all the teams will be posting one more lap on the inters, but I genuinely don't feel that the dry times will ever be beaten. I think we have our starting grid now.
Yeah, possibly we do. 2 minutes left into shock qualifying as we get set to go for the BRL Australian GP. Intermediates, Vex out on the inters, and he's doing a fast lap. I wonder if he'll put in a better lap than General Pepe's. What do you reckon, Ruds?
Don't think the inters are beating the softs, no ways. The one thing they can do is improve their time, hopefully. But I guess as far as the starting grid goes, the top 8 or 9 are not changing. Oof, Big Man should retire. Okay.
I think that is them voluntarily retiring because they're happy with their lap times perhaps, which means the defending champion starting at P7. Pepe is on provisional pole, KDB, Horning, Ferrero close enough but still in the pits. Wex the only one out there on a hot lap. Could he possibly go quicker?
I doubt it, but I definitely would like to see that happening. Looks like everybody is giving up on their quali times now because, yeah, like I said, the grid is pretty much sorted.
Right.
And Vex dives into the pits, so it was not going to be registered after all.
And with what seems like no one coming out on track anymore, looks like we've got our starting grid. General Pepe, the first pole sitter of this season, with KDB right behind, and we got Horning qualified at P3. Freeze will be smiling about that.
Most definitely. The only shocks I have seen so far is Accelerate and UK starting from the last row on the grid.
Meanwhile, Ruds, you can keep the folks busy as I sort out some last minute issues. But this is the starting grid, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Most definitely. So I will do my best because I am no improv champion, but at least I can keep the spectators entertained through the comments.
Yep.
Maybe make self-deprecating humor. But okay, I'll run by the grid once more in case it's difficult to watch. We have General Pepe, his first ever pole in his first ever race in his debut year for BRL. So who else is surprised? I don't think anybody is surprised for that. But KDB and Honing right behind him. It is interesting. I kind of expected that to happen. RB Ferrello, Racine should be very happy that in case he can't do a repeat of last year, at least RB Ferrello is there to take over the mantle. Mr. Wex and Setu. That's a combination I did not expect to see. I kind of expected UK to be right there along with Setu. But, right as I'm saying this, I do see UK setting a lap on the Inters and he's P18 now. So, not bad after all.
I mean, let's be honest, the real ones who got caught off with crap luck, so to speak, was Accelerate and Rustinish. And I'm really curious to know what happened to Accelerate in specific.
Definitely. It was weird, but not gonna lie, this was a pretty exciting quali to begin with.
Fairly exciting. Everyone kept it clean, so that's what I liked. No one really caused issues, so to speak, for others, for one another. That's what we always like, don't we? And I will be in shortly. We're all set and ready to go for the race itself. 50% race distance at Albert Park.
I hope that it's a dry race. So far, it looks sunny enough for it to be dry for the entirety. But do you expect another possible shower? I definitely feel that Accelerate would be hoping for rain at this point because that way he might be able to cut through the pack like a hot knife on butter. There's a reason why we have awarded him the Rain Man.
Yep, we just might be able to. And if anyone has issues from here on out, I'm pretty sure the issue is with you. Just kidding. And we are all set and ready to go for the race itself at Australia.
I always love to race at Albert Park. I don't know why. Maybe it's because whichever F1 I played, I always used to start my time trials at Albert Park. First race, obviously, that's the first option you would choose. But I think the track I'm used to the most is Albert Park, and I have reached that uncanny level where I can draw the layout, and we will share that story later because our formation lap has begun. So let's jump to that.
Yep. Jumping straight into the formation lap. It is first time around we're having a formation lap. And look at them go. They are all set. Go ahead, Ruds.
Sorry, Sadak. I think your voice got cut or something. I didn't hear you.
Yep. I was just saying, look at them go trying to heat up their tires, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually going to point out the same thing, that this gives them a chance to get all their operating temperatures, get going and be in that sweet spot.
General Pepe on pole. KDB right up there in the racing point. Horning, Ferrello, Vex in the top 5 like I mentioned, Ruds. I can't wait for going racing, and I am at a loss of words already. Let's pick up my sentences. So clearly enough, I am really excited.
I think that this might be the first time that I am seeing such a competitive grid in BRL. Nothing to take away from the previous season runners, but I guess the competition level has increased.
It has for sure. And we'll be a witness to that as 20 drivers will go through sector 3 and line up on the grid to start the first race of the season. 29 laps of incredible racing. This incredible game, even though we have a bittersweet relationship with it, each one of us. But yeah, I can't wait.
Do you think we'll be expecting some turn 1 incidents? I say some, but you know what I mean.
Oh, perhaps, let's hope not. But meanwhile in the chat someone says, hi commentator, remember me? Yes, we do remember you. We remember each and every one who comes into our chat and watches our streams live. We don't forget them one bit. And welcome.
I'm not gonna lie, Sarthak, you saying that seriously gave me some Amitabh Bachchan vibes from KBC or something.
Oh man. Okay.
The welcoming with open arms sort of thing.
Yep.
Good stuff, all good stuff.
Yep. The drivers have lined up.
And the predicted pit stop strategy as well, Sarthak, right before we miss it, was starting from lap number 9 for the hards and a little bit later for the mediums.
Oh, and we are set and ready to go as the drivers will shoot across the track, the main straight, and what a start General Pepe's had as we stay on board with him. The midfield jumped up quite a bit. KDB being bold down the inside of turn 1, and he's taken the race lead. He leads the first race of the BRL season 4, and in the midfield everyone's keeping it clean. The Renaults are taking on the Williams and the Alfa Romeos, and out on track seems like an Alfa Romeo has disconnected, but in front it's a steady lead by the Racing Point. KDB will be smiling as he pulls away from General Pepe with a McLaren right behind them.
Lots of glitching happening over the entire leaderboard, so to say. I just saw Setu RC18 and P1 and my mind was blown.
Of course, and at the back of the grid, UK is ahead of SB11. Rusty English and Accelerate stay at the back of the grid. But KDB, what a bold move down the inside line of General Pepe. So clearly, if there's one thing we can be sure of, KDB saying that the Drivers' Championship will be taken away by General Pepe was exaggeration to say the least, as it could be battle between teammates, as only Kapi seems to have gone off track. Yes, on the grass, he's trying to get back on track, and it is battle at the back of the grid between Accelerate and Rusty Nish as well.
Goes to have a lot of catching up to do, as I think we saw somebody's front wing fly. Not sure who that was. I think it is UK who has a damaged front wing.
Accelerate.
Yeah, there is no end plate for UK. Oof.
He dives down
He
the
has to
pits
dive into the pits.
and
Accelerate
accelerate.
has a penalty as well.
Meanwhile, SP11 caught off guard. He's running P17. Rusty Nish running P18. And only Kapi, after a small incident, has fallen to the back of the pack.
Only Kapi has lost almost 10 positions, but on the other side of the spectrum, Freeze has gained 6 positions.
And look at this strain in the midfield between P6 to P11, if I'm not wrong. All within a second of each other and within overtaking distance as well.
F1 Esports level DRS training. If our viewers also would have seen the F1 Esports Championship, they would know how hard it is to overtake.
And Setu RC18 just got passed by Chris Bai in the Williams. Meanwhile, he will have his hands tied as Mr. Wex approaches him. Setu RC18 fancying another move on Chris Bai perhaps. Meanwhile, are we saying close? Look how close Wex is to the McLaren. He's on the gearbox of Setu RC18 and he will be able to make a move possibly.
KDB setting the fastest lap. Of course, nothing less expected, but I'm surprised Carey is content with, following for now. He's not too far off. He's like almost 4/10 behind. So interesting.
Yeah, it seemed like Avi had a bit of a moment there with Big Man Joe. I think he went into the back of Big Man Joe, nothing major. But he's in the thickness of battle, so to speak, Big Man Joe, between the two Renaults, the McLaren and Chris Bai.
Chris Bai is the only runner in the top 10 on mediums. So that is also admirable, quite admirable.
Down the inside he goes, but it's a quick switch as Mr. Wex goes around the outside and retakes his position, and it is wheel to wheel for Mr. Wex and Big Man Joe across sector 2.
Ooh, that was some good navigation and defending.
The two Renaults are having a bit of fun with the defending champ.
It might not be doing Big Manjo any good to be stuck in between the two. If you remember, this is the same level of shithousery we saw with Haas last season.
Yep, and
with UK and Sethuram doing the same.
And seems like Rocky Man had a bit of a moment. He's fallen 3 positions, and I think that was an incident perhaps with Vix 356.
Possible. A lot of the racers we expected to be in the top 5 are currently at the back. So, surprises for round 1.
Yeah. Right now, General Pepe is under half a second within reach of KDB. And perhaps we could see him make a move on the next lap. 4 laps up. We've got 25 laps left. And folks, clearly, the race has just begun. Setu RC18 gets a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings.
I can already see a gap developing to the front 2, Sarthak. Horning is almost 3 seconds behind the front runners. So that may tell you who the championship is going to be about most of the time.
And Freeze will have problems going into the next lap because he's got a hungry AlphaTauri driver right behind him, Ferrello, keeping it close, keeping it consistent through the corners and waiting for Freeze to make a mistake.
Yes, that is true. I do remember a lot of, the other drivers not looking at RB Ferrello as a contender, as he was very new to BRL last season, but he has been underestimated, and we definitely saw in pre-season testing how much of a punch he can pack when given the chance.
And like I said, Ferrello made that move and got it done, and the Williams fancies a move as well as Setu RC18 gets the jump on Vex. Freeze gets gets overtaken by a Williams, Chris Bai, and he left me speechless as well.
Man getting a 3-second time penalty while that move was happening.
I mean, to see Big Man Joe running P8 really speaks to how much Setu RC18, Avi, Mr. Vex, and perhaps even Big Man Joe is right about the fact that, he's taking time to develop with that wheel.
True, and since we did catch Accelerate getting a penalty earlier, Sarthak, I can now confirm that Accelerate has a 5-second time penalty for apparently ignoring the yellow flag.
That's unfortunate, as Big Man Joe gets slapped with the 3-second time penalty himself. He's pushing to the max. Accelerate made up quite a bit. He's running P12.
Impressive stuff for him, but Rusty Nish also makes a move on Rocketman.
Rocketman's falling. I wonder what happened.
Yeah, same. And I'm also curious to look at how UK will come up, because he is 20 seconds behind P19, let alone P1. So he's more than a pit stop behind the other people.
And while we were on the mid and the back of the pack, General Pepe made the move and took the race lead.
Although KDB is not that far behind. Ooh, Rocketman with a 5-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane.
And seems
something
like
we might see quite in common Sarthak this season.
Yeah, and Freeze has made a pit stop and he's come out on the mediums. Running P17 right now.
Wicks with the 3-second penalty. You can continue, Sarthak.
Yeah. I was just mentioning how Freeze made his pit stop. First one to make the pit stop along with Rocketman, who's just gone in as well. Rocketman's coming out on the hards while Freeze has come out on the mediums. He's finding it difficult to pass only Kapi, who's got incredible support in the chat, like I noticed a couple of seconds ago. But yeah, let's see if we can make this pass.
Interesting to see that, Freeze with 3-second penalty as we speak, but these were some early pit stops, because the predicted pit stop strategy was somewhere around lap 9, to be honest, but only Kapi with a 3-second penalty. So penalties galore, but yeah, these were early pit stops. I think the drivers will struggle a little bit at the end of the race.
And it seemed like Rusty Nish ghosted a bit, but he hasn't disconnected, or has he? Perhaps, no, he hasn't. I don't know why he ghosted, but only Kapi and Rusty Nish were having a interesting battle there. Meanwhile, support coming out to Gouts, who's running P13.
Let's not jinx him, shall we? Because we all know what happened last season. Pit stop window is open. Ooh, Freeze goes out at turn 1 into the grass. Oops. So does only Kapi. Yellow flags at that turn. But they're back on track.
Back on track. Meanwhile, in the chat, we've got our very own driver from last season, Thunderbird. Glad he's here. He says he's missing racing with everybody on track, and he's really happy that everybody's racing regardless. Yep, Thunderbird, after whom we named the Thunder Lap chat, which we'll be having right after this.
Thank you for mentioning that, Sarthak, as I was about to do the same. Since Brihat is here with us in the chat, we might as well take his pick on who will get the Thunder Lap today.
Go ahead.
So,
Brihat.
Thunderbird, if you're listening, go ahead. Yes, exactly.
And Setu RC18 and Mr. Vex battling it out. I'm surprised to see Avi and Mr. Vex still close together. P7, P9, there is a substantial gap between them, 3 seconds or so. But yeah, Mr. Vex pushing as hard as he can.
And saying that he was pushing hard, he gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings.
Fortunate, but at least his teammates keeping it clean. Big Man Joe has a 10-second gap to Chris Bai.
I'm starting to see the top 5 pulling away while having a pit stop in hand. So, yeah, do you think this is the start of race over?
Perhaps not, because I just saw Horning get a penalty, and it's safe to say there is huge chances of General Pepe, KDB, Ferrello and Chris Bai getting penalties as well. But the thing to look out for is the fact that Chris Bai is out there on 7-lap old mediums, while the rest of the top 5 are on 7-lap old softs. Big Man Joe seems to have lost quite a bit of positions. I wonder what happened there. But that train is a consistent from Setu RC18 all the way till Gouts.
It'll be very difficult to beat the train.
And Setu RC18 dives into the pits on lap number 9, and I wonder which set of tires he'll be coming out on. Vixie56 might just fancy a move around the outside of Baby Shumi. Baby Shumi closes the window at the last moment. I'm pretty sure Vixie56 wouldn't have tried it, but then again, anything's possible. He keeps on the tail of Baby Shumi for the slipstream that he needs. Dives down the inside, perhaps. Yes, he will tries at least, but he just cannot pass him. Baby Shumi doing a brilliant job, and Prophecy will be smiling for sure.
Also would play out in the favor because Big Man Joe just got a 5-second penalty as well for, you guessed it, speeding in the pit lane.
Brilliant job, Baby Shumi.
I guess that will be the number one. That will be the number one enemy of all the drivers in the league, wouldn't it? The pit line window.
And Vix256 doesn't even have the ERS, so now Baby Shumi is out of reach. But yeah, back to what you were saying, Ruds. I agree with you.
I think we have already had 4 penalties for the pit lane speeding.
Yeah. And we've got 3 drivers, the top 3 front runners into the pits. And I wonder what tires are going to come out on. General Pepe, first one out on the hards. KDB already got his pit stop done, so he's out on the mediums.
So interestingly, KDB will be going for a 2-stop strategy and General Pepe is going for a 1-stop strategy.
Meanwhile, in the midfield, Vex accelerate and Baby Shumi dive into the pits as Chris Bai leads a race for the first time in the Bwoah Racing League. He joins members like Rusty Nish, Gouts and Big Man Joe.
TK Speedy with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. But I don't know if you noticed this, Sarthak, but Avi is still out on track with 9-lap old softs.
Exactly.
And SV11 might as well. I mentioned that.
And support coming through for McLaren, and as well as a few supporters for UK as well. Yep, that is Todd, the reserve driver.
Since we posed the question to Thunderbird, Thunderbird did answer saying that whoever is on the mediums right now might get a good chance for a Thunder lap. So based on that, I think KDB has the best shot of a Thunder lap. Don't you think so?
And let's stay on board with KDB because he's on the main straight and he's right on the tail of General Pepe. Could he dive down the inside? Perhaps. No, he backs off. He's got ERS, but he's taking time. And he does it. Yes, he does. Around the outside. Nicely done. And Pepe couldn't do much about that. KDB gets the position, but Pepe is still on the tail.
Is not giving up.
Chris Bai with a lead of 7 seconds on KDB. Hasn't pitted though.
He'll be 13 seconds behind KDB after his pit stop. I think an average pit stop in Australia is 20 to 21 seconds. Depending on whether you get a clean in-lap or not. But I think he would still come out in the top 4 or top 5.
I think the Williams team will be hoping for that. To say the least, he was running P5 right before everyone went into the pits. So clearly enough, that will be the goal. As Freeze on the tail of an Alpha Tauri, Rusty Nish, the 2 good friends, race winners from last season. They were both in competitive cars in the realistic performance season, and this time around equal performance, and I wonder how this will turn out to be. Rusty Nish almost seemed like he was giving way to Freeze there, and Freeze gets 2.
3 was momentarily yellow.
Freeze gets 2 positions in 2 corners.
Very, very interesting to see that.
And for the 22 of you all watching, make sure you drop your vote for Driver of the Day in the description. Don't forget about that. And Ruds, over to you.
I just want to offer a quick update on the penalties racked up right now, and I must say things are looking the worst for Rocketman. He has 11 seconds of racked up penalties.
Unfortunate for him.
Following quickly behind Setu at 9 seconds, and then Mr. Vex and Big Man Joe at 8 seconds each. So I think that might change the entire grid table at the end. These are just way too much.
I'm sure, at least from P6 and beyond it will. But top 5 might just remain the same unless Ferrello can
Moning
close that
also
gap.
has a 3-second penalty, and he's in the top 5.
Unless Ferrello can close that gap, then he's got one position less to worry about. Meanwhile, Rustin is running P9 right behind Gouts, who's running P8. And it's safe to point out 11 lap old mediums is what Vix 56, only Cuppy are on, and UK is on a 10 lap old mediums. Meanwhile, our race leader as of now, Chris Bai, is on 12 lap old mediums.
Chris, Wix, and Gots. No, I think Gots pit, but Chris and Wix are the only ones to pit, if I'm not wrong. They're the only ones left.
Yup, they are. And everyone might just be facing a bit of issue on the stream, but we are set regardless. 13-second gap between TK Speedy and Baby Shumi, and Baby Shumi has come out on the hards. He was running well in the midfield. Last 9 laps are going to be interesting, Gouts. I mean, Ruds.
I think we've all got our eyes on Gots right now.
Yeah.
He's P8. And has he pit though? I don't think even he has pit.
Yep, he hasn't.
But he is on 12 lap old medium too. Could he be doing the unthinkable and actually stretch these out? Maybe do another freeze at France, if you know what I mean.
I mean,
And
if
then
you
go for the soft last 8 laps.
If you ask me, he's known for doing the unthinkable. We all heard about his race start strategy, and as unentertained I am of it, it's been working for him. So clearly
They
enough.
do work. I mean, as long as it gets the job done, doesn't matter how boring it is.
Exactly. So, yep. We got support for SV11 in the chat. Driver of the day, says Rohan. Make sure you go and vote for SV11 in the description. Link in the description, folks. Don't forget that. 14 laps up, a bunch to go. Stay with us as we are on board Gouts. Some reason can't take
And
him off.
it's also interesting, Sarthak, since we are just on Gotham, he has already exhausted his ERS, and that is something that's unique to F1 2020, I guess, because in F1 2019, you could control the amount of ERS you spent, right? But I think every driver is facing that issue in 2020, where the deployment happens regardless of what you do. You can only use the overtake button, and so far I have noticed that drivers are kind of spamming it. So maybe it'll get some time, maybe it'll take a few races to get used to it. So I don't expect any ERS management as of now.
Yeah, and meanwhile, on the topic of Gouts, he's got. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that it's going to be difficult for overtaking because of this.
Yeah. And on the topic of Gouts, Ruds, he had a hot-headed Rusty Nish right behind him a couple of seconds ago, who lost a bit of time in the previous corner in Sector 2. But right now, it's Wex and Rusty Nish real close together.
Might be a move in the next 2 laps, assuming Rusty gets the DRS for both the zones. He seems to be closing.
Not as much as Wex is, though. No moves made, but right behind.
On only Kapi.
P20 to P11 so far, and I wonder how much up the grid Accelerate might go.
Speaking of up the grid, KDB has overtook Chris Bai. Chris Bai still not pitted, but even General Pepe has overtaken Chris Bai. So Chris Bai definitely needs to pit now, which is kind of playing into his hands. The pit window, the pit lane is right here. Sorry.
And he didn't go in?
Does he pit?
Didn't go in.
He still hasn't pit. I wonder if he is trying to do what Gotham is trying to do. Because even Wicks is still out, by the way. He got a 3-second penalty a while ago. But could we see 3 cars pulling a one-stopper on medium and softs? Wow. Starting the season with a banger.
And we've got the team principal of Ferrari, in the in-game team Ferrari, in chat. He says, expect the unexpected. So maybe, Ruds, you might have just guessed right on Gautz's strategy.
Could we finally see the non-meme version of the Ferrari master plan? Because I've been dying to see that for 2 or 3 seasons at least.
I mean, let's be honest, me included and a bunch of them in the chat, they'll like it too. Just to see somewhere, somehow, a team called Ferrari doing well.
I swear. And at least we, as Tifosis, we can appreciate the virtual victories or the virtual points as finally.
Yep. And on that note, the kryptonite of Ferrari is right on its tail once again. Wix 356 has Freeze, who's in the Mercedes AMG right behind him. And I'm pretty sure he'll be making a move sooner than later. He's got ERS, 80% ERS. Couple of corners perhaps. Wix 356 is on 15 lap old mediums. Isn't going to play into his favor. He's got a 10-second gap to Ferrello.
If you look at Chris Bhai and Honing, Sarthak, look at that. They have a combined gap of 26 seconds.
And Chris Bhai is changing his front wing and tires in the pits. It might just cost him a position. No, it won't. Wix 356 still out on track. Could he possibly get the jump? No, Freeze gets the jump on Wix 356 as Wix 356 goes into the pits. Yes.
At least they finally did, but Gotham has still not entered the pits. Gotham is soldiering on. Maybe for one more lap?
And on the main straight, he makes a move on Mr. Wex. And Rusty Nish is going wheel to wheel with Mr. Wex. It's a 3-way battle. Ruds, who's going to come out on top?
I don't know, but I pray that Gotham does, because if he continues to race this aggressively, we might see a puncher.
It's almost a 5-way battle. Ruds with the Red Bull and the McLaren getting into the mix. That's Accelerate and Setu RC18.
Have we ever seen such close racing last season, Sarthak?
Yeah, clearly not. And especially now with these drivers at least. I mean, Setu RC18 going up against Accelerate. You got Rusty Nish in the mix. Mr. Wex optimistically in front of the pack as he goes ahead of Gauts. And we got an AlphaTauri and a Red Bull wheel to wheel through sector 2 they go, and we'll be entering sector 3. Okay, now wheel to wheel. Rusty Nish holds on to that position. Gauts is losing positions. He's lost to Mr. Wex. He's lost to Rusty Nish. Can he hold it against Accelerate?
I think the tires are approaching their end. And it's better that he pits now rather than go on for one more lap. He'll be losing so much time. Yes, he does come in.
And he does, and Accelerate seems to have lost his rear. Almost had a spin, but loses positions. Setu RC18 passes Accelerate, and now he's got UK to worry about. On the tail of Accelerate, UK stays on P11. What's in the position we'd expect him to run in the first race, but he goes wheel to wheel with the Red Bull around the outside. He peaks but can't quite just get it. Let's have the telemetry on. He's got enough ERS to make the move as well.
Wonder how things would look, because I don't know how it will work out for the third podium place, because Honing is 22 seconds out now after Chris by pit, of course. So we might have guaranteed the first 2 podiums, but what about the third? Is it anyone's game at this point, or do you think Honing has got it?
Let's just leave it to circumstance. I mean, talk about Chris by having a 9-second gap to Honing, and Honing having that humongous 22-second gap to General Pepe, which, I mean, unless God forbid anything happens to the 2 front runners, Horning won't be able to catch up, make that gap at least. Now ST56 makes the move on SV11.
Speaking of the third podium place, Chris Bhai just set the fastest lap, so maybe Horning is not just yet safe.
Not just yet. Vex going up the grid as Ferrello goes into the pits, coming out on the softs perhaps. We've got the midfield, Ferrello, UK Accelerate, UK and Accelerate going into the pits, and Big Man Joe, defending champ, running P11.
Will be interesting to see how UK performs for the last 10 laps, because he started last and he has made 5 positions up.
Yep.
He's on the softs now. He could make 2 more positions up.
Meanwhile-
Yes, he does. He overtakes Avi.
Meanwhile, only Cup, he makes a move on Big Man Joe, rather aggressive one, tried shutting the window real close, almost had a collision as well. But nothing quite happened. Only Cup, he can take it quite easy moving forward, to be honest. Maybe he was a bit intimidated that it's Big Man Joe.
Maybe more. If I don't cross him, I will never cross him, you know. Which is understandable, of course.
Exactly. Let's stay on board Ferrello, who's on the tail of Big Man Joe right now, and will pass him as well. Big Man Joe on 10 lap all hards.
Getting a 3-second penalty, not something we like to see.
Big Man Joe's rather getting past real easily, and I wonder why that is the reason.
Could the change of an input device be this crucial?
I mean, he's out of the points.
Regular podium contender. Yeah, a regular podium contender out of the points. Like, not even in the points. So do you think the wheel has given such a huge effect?
Perhaps he wasn't joking about the fact ever since he got the wheel. Meanwhile, General Pepe takes the race lead as KDB dives into the pits.
I wonder if Big Man Joe would switch back to the controller. Do you think so?
If you'd ask me, I wouldn't. And knowing Big Man Joe, I doubt he will. So I'm guessing, and I've been talking about this, and you've been talking about this as well. Latter half of the season is the one to look out for, because look, Big Man Joe UK, both race winners in our league, and they're running P13 and P12 and P14 respectively, and they're both on the wheel, new to the wheel. So yeah, latter half of the season for them, I guess.
I mean, you have the easy, short way of getting up the ranks by just using your old input, but maybe it's about the experience, I guess, for them this season.
Precisely. Accelerate and SV11 getting all the support in the chat from their reserve driver, Gambler. And Chris losing a lot of time on meds. Chris losing a lot of time on meds.
He's P7. My god.
Quick jumperoo by the Red Bull driver, but he's got company. Freeze.
And it's also worth noting that SV11 is on 10 lap old mediums, so he will have to pit, I guess. Tires will not last him 7 more laps.
Yeah. On fresh softs, KDB out on track, 20-second gap to General Pepe. As General Pepe is on the hards, 12 lap old hards. KDB's got 7 laps to make that gap.
Yeah, the main difference was that General Pepe is on a 1-stop strategy while KDB opted for a 2-stop. So he has to catch up that 1-stop car time. 7 laps. I doubt he can cover 19 seconds in 7 laps, but we have seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, and this is KDB we're talking about. He did win 2 races with a realistic performance, Williams last season.
That is a given, but again, it is a huge time gap to cover. So fingers crossed for him, but I think Karim must be focusing on just finishing the race without committing a lot of mistakes.
And Mr. Wex dives into the pits, serving a time penalty perhaps. Yes, he is. And will come out on the softs. He was running P6, will come out possibly out of the points.
SV11 pit, rightly as I said so, and on the softs I see. maybe we have more fastest lap contenders than we originally anticipated.
And in the backdrop of the Renaults, it seemed like there was a fight for position between Guts and SV11, perhaps. But no, it was a fight between the two Red Bulls, and that might have been just team orders as Accelerate passes SV11.
3-lap-old mediums, he's got them in the right, range of operation. If he can chain some good laps together, he might get into the points territory, because if you can notice, everybody's got penalties except Carry, Crisby and Accelerate.
Big Man
Wow.
Joe, Big Man Joe locks up his right rear, and he's got UK. It is the drivers with new input devices this time around, both race winners, possibly going wheel to wheel into sector 3. And they've got Rusty Nish, who's the race winner himself for company, and down the inside, Rusty Nish with a fabulous overtake on Big Man Joe.
That was brilliant. That was a very, very ballsy move.
Yep.
And it worked out.
To say the least, he'll be looking to get the same kind of jump going into the next lap on UK, perhaps, making sure Big Man Joe doesn't get that slipstream he needs. But are we closing in on Big Man Joe as well? I think this is where the battle is going to remain spicy for the next 5 laps at least. UK leading the pack with Rusty Nish right behind him, Big Man Joe and Avi.
UK getting into the points from P20 is the biggest achievement, I would say, for this race. Nothing else beats this. For me at least. But I know that there are bigger moments here.
Yeah. And Avi on the tail of Big Man Joe within a second, almost goes into the back, locks up as well, and will lose a bit of time to Big Man Joe.
Looking at the fastest lap, KDB does have the fastest lap now at 122.372, and nobody else is close. So I think he's got that in the bag.
Yeah, and
Carry
Avi,
with a 3-second penalty.
Avi gets the position on Big Man Joe. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, the two Red Bulls switching positions once again. SV11 ahead of Accelerate this time around. Seems like a fair battle in my opinion.
Interesting to see.
And it's Mercedes versus Ferrari in front. Vic 356 versus Freeze. Battle for P5 it is. Vic 356 trying to fend off Freeze, who's been behind him for quite some time now. He does have more ERS.
I think we'll be seeing most of our battles from P5 to P15, Sarthak.
Yeah, clearly. Both of them struggling with ERS, but Freeze is the one who's got it better. He's got about 50% ERS left, with X356 down to 15%.
This is where my Vic with the 3-second penalty. The corners of Australia have not been kind to our drivers today, have they, Sarthak?
Not at all. And maybe you
Even
would.
Carry was subjected to it, so imagine.
Yeah. Chris By kept it clean. However, Chris By and Accelerate, the only two drivers out there with no penalties.
That will work in their favor. I could genuinely see Accelerate jumping at least 4 to 5 positions.
And on the main straight, Freeze should be able to round the outside. Vic 356 tried to make sure he doesn't have slipstream, Freeze, but will stay on his tail. Freeze pretty much pulling away at this point, but the gap is still within a second. And
And another interesting fact are that Vex with a 3-second penalty before I start with my fact, but Vex 356 has climbed 10 positions today. He started P16 and he's at P6 now. UK and Rusty Nish have climbed 9 positions, so well done to all of them.
yeah, well done.
I think
I'm pretty
Sethuram
sure.
will have a race to forget, having dropped 11 places.
And also, folks, 22 of you all watching, vote for the driver of the day. Who do you think is on top as Horning and KDB dives into the pits? I wonder in the 26th lap, could have been there an incident Could there have been an incident? Yes, there's a change of front wing for KDB, and there might just have been for Horning as well. They're coming out on fresh softs.
I think I see a car stuck at the first section.
Yep, that is a Renault if I'm not wrong. Nope, seems like a glitch, Ruds.
Okay, I hope it's a glitch because I see the drivers running fine.
Regardless, 30.
Together.
Yeah, and 33-second gap between the race leader and the driver running P2. And into the pits they go. Could there have been a safety car which we are unaware of? I have a feeling because
there is a safety car, and the safety car is stuck on the straight.
Oh my lord, talk about. Yes, folks, this is where we mentioned there is. I mean, I don't even know what to say, but yep, there's a glitch. Everyone's into the pits, coming out on fresh softs, making sure they hold on to their positions. But somehow there's a safety car. The car stranded in sector 1 looks like a Renault's, but it is.
Oh, finally moving.
Yeah, finally.
So
about
it
time.
was not a glitch. The safety car was just waiting for Carrie to catch up.
Oh.
Okay,
Perhaps.
looks like we've been outsmarted by the Codys.
But now I'm gonna say. I mean, everybody on in the chat can agree with us. We didn't see a safety car warning. Right now we see it in game, but there isn't one above our the driver standings board
Leaderboard,
on the left hand
yes.
side. Leaderboard, none at all. So yeah.
I do see it though, so I think that this is a selective glitch, which makes it even worse.
Indeed, and I wonder if this was the result of Horning and KDB's incident perhaps, or was there a different kind of incident? Because I'm a bit perplexed. Horning and KDB were the first ones to come into the pits, so it could have been a good strategy call, or it could have been an actual incident between the two.
Possibly.
Yep.
But that did cause KDB to lose 2 positions.
I think the one who can be smiling about this is definitely Chris Bai, who was within a second of General Pepe. But then again, let's hope we go out racing once again. Ruds, I'll be depending on you to let me know when the safety car will be going in.
Yeah, you were right on cue because race control just said safety car in this lap.
Okay. All right.
Freeze gets warning while in a safety car. Oh god. Okay.
I guess
they're getting too hyper, I guess now.
Yeah, I guess we'll be going racing for 2 laps, folks. They're on their 27th lap, and at the end of this, perhaps we'll be all set and ready to go. Ruts?
RB Ferrello with 3 seconds, Baby Shumi with 5 seconds for a severe collision with Big Man Joe. Oof.
And of course, we've got another driver who we'll be missing this season. We've got Supreme Leader in the chat letting us know that last season around at Australia, we had a safety car at the end as well. And yes, we did. It jumbled up the podium quite a bit.
And we cross the last corner and racing will begin now.
And General Pepe will pull away. Chris Bai right behind. Horning running P3 and KDB P4. Freeze on the tail of KDB at P5. Was there an incident there? I just switched cams. Did they have contact? Freeze and KDB, perhaps they did.
Looks to be going quite comfortably so far, but yes, it's just ghosting that KDB is going through the lap cars, that is.
And down the order we go. Both the Renaults. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if KDB might be at the safety car right now, because that might have just costed him a potential 10 points.
He is within a second of Horning. I mean, if they can put in qualifying laps, so to speak, like Accelerate says so, they can make positions quite big. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, Big Man Joe running P18. Now, this is something I'm pretty sure all of us in the league might not have expected. He's running right behind his good friend Baby Shumi.
I think we've had a first taste of the BRL quirkiness. The weird factor didn't even wait for round 2. It just came right at round 1.
Yeah, and on the main straight, Chris Bye and Horning trying to get that jump on Chris Bye. He's on the tail of Chris Bye. Funnily enough, DRS is not activated. I'm guessing it's not allowed right now. But we're on the final lap. General Pepe, what a race he's driven, qualified on pole, and he's going through sector 1 as we speak. He just has to keep it clean for now.
This one is already 5 seconds behind Carey, so you can imagine how much he pulled out.
Yeah. And it's fight for podium position. Yeah, podium position right behind, as you mentioned, Chris Bye, KDB and Horning within a second of each other.
So my prediction for the P3 battle was right. It's just that the characters have changed.
Yeah. Yes, they have on the gearbox. Literally, KDB down the inside, perhaps wheel to wheel. Around sector 2 they go, KDB and Chris Bye. And KDB gets that position. Right now, Horning on the tail of Chris Bye. He's hungry for that podium on the tail of Chris Bye. Final lap move, perhaps, as the General Pepe going through sector 3 as we speak. Can Horning get that P3 he wants so desperately?
And Carey about to win his first race. General Pepe right there on the final straight.
Yeah, on the main straight for the first time in the BRL. General Pepe wins the race. And KDB in P2. Horning gets the job done on the final corner. And he will possibly be on the podium after post-race penalties. Yes, he will. And Freeze making that result count. No, he doesn't. Chris Bye with the right hook at the last minute. It will be P3. And what a race this is turning out to be. The post-race penalties are coming through. So stay with us, folks. We might have quite a bit of jumble.
Well, looks to be that most of them have been sorted.
And Rusty Nitch just dove into the pits. Wonder why that was, but regardless, it's General Pepe, a new race winner, puts himself alongside Rusty Nish, KDB, Big Man Joe, and others. Seto RC18's right up there as well. What a race this was, and what a podium that is.
I think season 4 has rightly started off with a bang.
Yep.
That was deservedly so.
For sure. 100%. What a race that was. General Pepe on the top step of the podium. Right behind him, KDB held in there. And Chris Bye coming through out of post-race penalties. That is the podium. For the first time.
We will have a lot on our plates, especially the stewards, because the penalties were just everywhere. It was like given out as charity. So I don't know how things will look now.
And appreciation coming through from the chat to the podium finishers, from the Supreme Leader, from Gambler and Thor, the reserve drivers, as well as a driver from last season. Brilliant stuff, to say the least.
UK clearly impressed me with his drive. Finished in the points. Might be even more. Depends on how the stewards assess all the incidents. But fantastic drive. 13 positions gained. 11, sorry. Because he was on the 18th position.
Yep, and fastest lap for General Pepe as well. So the Thunder lap goes to General Pepe. And the ones who kept it clean were Accelerate and Chris Bye.
Fantastic stuff from Accelerate. He was P20 and now he's at P9.
Brilliant stuff. Put himself
Just
in the points.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, good points haul for the Mercedes drivers, Horning and Freeze, both in the points. They'll be glad about that. I think they're the only drivers who are both in the points. Nope, the Williams drivers made it in as well. Only Cuppy getting that 1 point for his team. Much needed, to say the least. Brilliant stuff.
Brilliant way to start the round.
Yeah. The season has just begun.
Have a solid base. Yes, exactly that. The season has begun.
The season has just begun, folks. And with that, we wrap up the Australian GP of the Bwoah Racing League. And make sure you tune in next time around next weekend. It's the Bahrain GP. And Ruds, I had a great time. We'll be tuning in to please tune in. I mean, to the post-race chat, which we'll have in just a bit. So stay with us right here.
Now,
We'll be having it
don't forget the
live.
driver of the day, Sarthak.
Yeah, driver of the day will be announced soon enough as well. Unless you've got the result already, Runs. I'm guessing not.
I think so. We can see and we can take a look. See,
Okay.
I think the voting is closed. No, we still have 8 minutes for the voting. So if you haven't voted, make sure you get in your vote ASAP.
Yep. And for the 15 of y'all who stayed till the very end, thank you so much. And please stay because we've got the post-race chat coming up in just a bit.
Do you not see my
but still, I pulled up like a good gap after the safety car, so it was a smooth race. So, but it was tough at the same time.
All right, brilliant. And KDB, how was it? I know you took the race lead right off the first corner from General Pepe. Seemed like you were running well. Talk us through how the race went for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did get a better start than General Pepe, but he managed to keep up with me for like almost the entire race. I didn't know he was going like I didn't expect him to go on to the hards. I thought he was going to do a two-stop like me. So when he switched on the hard, I thought I'd easily build a gap to him. I did overtake him like within a lap after switching, but somehow he managed to keep up with me on his hards with my mediums, and he's stuck in that 1 second window and he got TRS. So I had to do something because my mediums were running out of grip pretty soon. So I decided to switch to the softs in the end. But luckily, with the safety car and everything, I was able to salvage a P2.
Mm-hmm. And Chris Bai, what a race that was with Horning in specific. You went wheel to wheel with him more often than not. Talk us through the race for you and how it was with Horning.
I actually just got lucky because of the safety car, because if not for that, I wouldn't have been on the podium. We were actually aiming for P5.
Mm-hmm.
And my only plan was to keep it clean and not get any penalties, because I was expecting penalties, not from as I wasn't aiming for the top 3. I would say for the 5th and 6th guys, I was expecting a lot of penalties from them. They did get 3 or 4 seconds. I don't remember. So yeah, for the safety car, and that wasn't the plan. Not get any penalties, not fight with a lot of guys, because I was on the. I had to, take care of my tires and everything. So yeah, I tried not to fight with people, but some had that itch.
Yep. Of course. You did mention in the preseason chat how you were one to not let go of an opportunity when you got one, and clearly you didn't.
Yeah.
A podium on your first race in the league, so I can be happy about that. Talk us through the race start. Pretty clean. Going into the next race, I'm pretty sure you'll be hoping for the same kind. Everyone here. Pepe, talk us through what your goal is for Bahrain, how different it's going to be, and yep.
I like Bahrain, but not that much though. But I would say I have good pace on Bahrain, so I'm hoping to repeat the same result in Bahrain too.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see what happens.
Okay.
I'll practice and hope for the best.
KDB, what about you?
Truth be told, I don't like Bahrain. I've never had the pace on that track, so I'll try and practice, but I don't think my performance is going to be up to Alindom's level. Let's see.
Chris Bai?
It's gonna be my first race in Bahrain, so I don't know what to expect from this.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting for sure. And right before we wrap it up, none of your TPs were out on track. So tell us, did they help at all? Or tell us what role they played for today's race. KDB, let's start with you.
Yeah. I was in contact with Siknik throughout the entire race.
Mm-hmm.
He helped me with the strategy call. So I had to decide if I wanted to extend my mediums to the end or do a two-stop and switch to the softs in the end. I did. We initially thought of matching Arindam and extending the mediums to the end, but I already had 2 warnings and my tires are falling off pretty aggressively. So we decided not to risk it and drop in for a quick, like a change to softs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to salvage P2 in the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What about you, General Pepe? Was Prophecy in your ear?
He was actually. He was. So I mean, he talked really less because he had like relatives in his house. So he just said he will just stop for the penalties of everybody, what they're doing and stuff. So yeah, he did pretty well. I was asking him how much like when KDB put on soft tires in his second stop, I was asking Prophecy how much he was gaining on me like every lap.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting the accurate data. So yeah, it was a very good job from Prophecy.
Yeah, okay. And Chris Bai, what about Rishu Saha? How did he do?
Yeah. We were in contact with Richu and Harry as well. And they were the ones, since we both of us Williams were on the same strategy, they were the ones who made us sync with each other
That's
and
brilliant.
not get interfered.
Yeah. And with regard to Williams, both of you all managed to make it into the points along with Freeze and Horning, who are the Mercedes drivers. So good points all for both of you all. And yeah, wish all three of you all the best for Bahrain and looking forward to it. The podium finishers of the BRL Australian GP of Season 4. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.